Hello there, and we've got some breakfast cooking today. It's actually old tortilla dough we're going to fry up, and work to do. Watermaker died yesterday. As soon as we pulled it up to the right pressure, it flipped the circuit breaker that's built in on the generator. So I'm trying to problem solve that. We're out here and there's no mechanics. There's very little hardware stores, but we got to figure this out. My hunch is the circuit breaker's messed up, so we're going to replace it. That's a circuit breaker that's on the generator. Or this filter on the Watermaker is it's kind of the primary filter. It's from the lift pump. It was kind of dirty, so maybe that created too much pressure, forced the Watermaker to pull extra amps. Or there is an actual capacitor in the Watermaker, and maybe that capacitor's gone bad. Or it's a combination of all three, but we're about to find out. So this is just a simple, it's a push button breaker. It's actually made by Texas Instruments. I have a replacement from Blue Sea Systems thermal breaker here. I'm going to replace it, and we're going to see if it's the breaker or not. But first I'm going to run some tests on it. Alright, this is super easy to test whether the circuit breaker is bad or not. All we have to do is use the multimeter tool. We're going to place it on the continuity setting to see that there's low to no resistance. Basic mode of operation anytime I have problems is I just start replacing the parts. So even though I've tested the circuit breaker and it shows to be okay, I went ahead and replaced with a new circuit breaker just to cover that margin of error where I may have made a mistake in my problem solving. I'm Nancy, finished these donuts, check these out.
They're made from the tortilla dough.
The tortilla dough, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you get that icing?
I made it myself.
What?
I know.
You made donuts.
I did.
She needs to make her better. We all need to make something in life.
She's like, speak to the hand. Here's the moment of truth. We're going to crank on the generator. And then we're going to turn on the electricity. If it shows we have electrical power, then this first solution works.
Just got cleaned up.
Good job.
So this job is so important because when you're out here living and you're used to just being able to take a shower or wash the dishes, you have to have water for that. So the generator runs the Watermaker, and right now the Watermaker is not able to run. So there's limited water, and that can be tough. So we're trying to fix it.
50 miles
Yeah.
to get water at. So we'll be on our own and we need our Watermaker. Otherwise, we're stuck here in this harbor until we can figure it out. Or we have to make a big run to a new harbor and skip all the spots we want to see so we can get a shipment in for the right parts.
But we're in the Bahamas. We're in the Bahamas. It's not a bad thing to be stuck here. The water's pretty.
Yeah. And they have good groceries here, so that's good. Here we go. That indicates no electricity. So the breaker is probably not the problem. And we knew that from the multimeter. So 2 tests have shown that the breaker is not the issue. So we got to figure out what else is the problem. Okay, next step in the problem solving is we hooked up a multimeter directly to the generator to make sure the generator is actually putting out electricity. So this is right off of the actual generator. But it has no load on it, so it's not going to put out the full 110, 115 unless there's an appliance or something actually pulling that voltage. I'm going to reconnect the circuit breaker, and then we're going to test to make sure that there's current on the opposite side of the circuit breaker. And we're just going to work our way around the whole circuit, all the wires, until we find out where the voltage drops. All right, that doesn't look right. Should be more than 8 volts. All right, here we go. Interesting discovery. I was reading 7 to 8 volts. This is a 3.5 kilowatt generator. It shouldn't be putting out 7 to 8 volts. It should be putting out 100, 110, 120. And so I took off the circuit breaker and decided to rehook the multimeter directly to the output of the generator. And it still put out 7 to 8 volts. However, that capacitor right there was hanging loose. I put the capacitor back on its little bracket and it would get up to about 100, 110 volts again. So apparently, the capacitor comes loose, we lose the voltage. So I'm gonna play around with the capacitor for a bit. We'll see if we can solve the problem there. Or the capacitor is going out and is just very inconsistent on when it gives you 120 volts. Okay, a few hours later and we have it fixed. It's fixed. Just changed out the old capacitor and put the new one in. We carry a spare capacitor, as well as a oil temperature switch, a relay, and spare zincs and whatnot, belts. Every time we've had a problem with the generator, the easiest fix is just to replace a part. Have the spare parts, replace it, fixed. So lesson learned. We're going to replace all of our spare parts because we've gone through at least half of them. And then it's good to go. We're about to run the Watermaker and we'll make sure where the capacitor is almost like a little miniature battery on the generator. It helps to regulate and maintain the voltage. Anyway, the connection on the capacitor, you wiggle it a little bit and it comes on. So if we have the problem again in the next week or two, I'm going to take the capacitor off, brush it up with the brass brush, clean off any corrosion, and reattach. My buddy Bruce let me borrow his multimeter. What's cool about this meter compared to mine is it's got the alligator clip, so a little safer for 120 volts than my simple one with the little prongs, which don't clip on. Now we can get back to making water, get the cockpit back in order, and maybe have some guests over for sundowners. I'm exhausted and only 3 beers in, by the way.